Good morning. I'm Elan Wurtzel. I am the chairperson of the Planview-Old Bethpage Chamber of Commerce Springfest 2022. And we have with us today Aimee Keegan of ACLD, who is one of our silver sponsors for the event. Aimee, good morning. Thank you for being here today.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure, and the Chamber really appreciates your support and participation in Springfest. And how you doing today?
Very well, very well. Looking forward to spring and the Springfest.
I know today's almost a spring-like day, so it's giving us a taste of what's to come, hopefully.
Yes.
So we're going to take a few minutes this morning to learn a little more about ACLD, what you guys do, what makes you guys tick. And this way our members and other viewers can learn a little more about ACLD. So let's start off. Tell us what ACLD is and what you guys do.
Sure. So ACLD is adults and children with learning and developmental disabilities. And we are a nonprofit organization based in Bethpage that provides services across Long Island to children and adults with autism, learning, and intellectual disabilities. Now, we've been around for a long time, and we offer a wide variety of programs and services, from residential and day program to vocational and preschool programs. So we're a pretty big organization.
What's the geographical reach of ACLD?
So we have programs both in Nassau and Suffolk County. We have over, now I believe it's 44 homes, pretty much evenly split between Nassau and Suffolk. We have apartments also within those same counties. We have 2 preschool programs in Bayshore. We have our administrative offices here in Bethpage on South Oyster Bay Road. And we also have our day program for adults over the age of 21 who come here to our Bethpage day program and receive support and services there.
What are the nature of the disabilities or challenges that the people you help, what are they experiencing? Why do they come to you guys?
Sure. So the folks that we support can have anything from autism to developmental disabilities, intellectual disabilities, and they come to us. It depends on what stage of the point in their journey they come to us. So we might have preschoolers age 3 to 5 that come to us through a referral through the school districts, and they would receive services out in our Bayshore schools. Or we get someone who's over the age of 21 who's looking for residential placement or some kind of program once their son or daughter ages out of the school program locally. So many different ways.
How would you describe the need for your services on Long Island?
Vital, and getting more and more vital every day, especially for people who have autism. As that continues, those numbers, continue to rise, and we see that these children are aging out and they're getting to an age where they're going to need support and services for the rest of their lives. Organizations like us are very important.
Okay. And in terms of what is the age span? I know you said young children to adults, but how old are the adults and how old are the young children that you help?
So the preschoolers are 3 to 5 in our preschool program. We do have an after-school program for children 5 through 21, but that's been put on hiatus since the pandemic.
Right.
And then, of course, we have adults over the age of 21, and that can run the gamut. It can be 21 all the way through 90 years old. Yeah, our oldest resident passed away about a year ago, and I believe she was like 92 or 93. So we run the full gamut. We're there for the lifespan of the person.
That's amazing. How long did that person, use the services of ACLD?
They had been receiving services for quite some time. I don't know exactly how many years, but definitely a few decades. Wow.
Well, talk about the residential services that you do offer to people. Because I know that's a vital part of, helping adult people with disabilities.
Sure. So it's very individualized. So depending on the kind of support the person needs, they might need to be in a 24/7 environment in a home where they have staff that works around the clock. But we also have folks who live in our apartment program who might have more independence and might have a job in the community, can take public transportation to get there, but need someone who can check in on them and make sure that the bills are getting paid, they're taking their medication, and all of those supports. So it really depends on the person.
Okay. Past 2 years, we've been dealing with the pandemic and COVID. What have been some of the challenges that ACLD has found during the past 2 years, and how have you adapted to the pandemic?
So our greatest challenge the last 2 years, the first year, obviously, like everyone else, we shut down because the state had suspended our programs, with the exception of the residential program, which obviously could not shut down. So we continued to provide those services to folks who were living with us. And just like everyone else out there, they began to get sick. And so we really had to face a decision on what to do to make sure that we were providing the best care, that we had access to the best care. And our executive director actually came up with an idea to create a temporary respite center on our campus here in Bethpage. So where we had residents who did not necessarily need to go to the hospital, but needed some more care and needed to be pulled out of their residences so that it mitigated the risk of infection. We actually opened that up for the entire month of April of that first year of the pandemic, and we did see a decrease in the spread of COVID. So we've had to really learn to adapt, just like everyone else, and really rely on ourselves to kind of come up with the ideas, be innovative in what we can do. You know, I'm glad that we are past that initial phase of the pandemic and that we're finally coming out of it. But what we're seeing now, the biggest challenge that we have is trying to find more staff. Just like everyone else, staffing is a problem. It was a challenge before the pandemic. It's even more challenging now. So
what is the challenge with staffing? Why are you having trouble?
I don't know. It could be for a variety of reasons.
Okay.
The kind of work that we do is really a calling for people. This isn't a job. You're taking care of our most vulnerable people. And so you have to have that dedication and commitment. And at the same time, the state doesn't reimburse us as much for those jobs. So what we're able to pay is not as high as some other jobs. So we're losing people to that. So what we're doing to combat that is to come up with other ideas, such as having cohorts with like Stony Brook University, doing training to develop our staffers so that they can have careers here, that this isn't just a job that they come to. Because a lot of times our direct support professionals might be working at other agencies as well. So they might have 2 and 3 jobs trying to make ends meet, or might be going to school. So it's a challenge just like everyone else is facing.
Aimee, that brings me to my next question. Let's say I'm a 25-year-old person. I'm finished with college, not really sure what I'm interested in doing, but I want to help people maybe in the medical or health-related industry. What career opportunities are there if I, am interested in working or checking out ACLD?
Sure. So somebody who really has a tendency to migrate to the healthcare field can work with us in one of our homes. And they may move through the ranks, start off as a DSP and move to a house manager and continue up that ladder into administration. So there's definitely an opportunity there to grow people. As I said before, we have the Stony Brook University cohort, but we also do things with Stony Brook to develop our existing staff so that they have aspirations to become managers in the homes. We train them and develop them and provide leadership training for them.
Okay. Aimee, what do you find for you personally to be the most challenging part of your position at ACLD?
Well, because I handle the fundraising and the community relations, the last 2 years have been rather interesting.
To say the least.
We went from having a full calendar of events
Mhm.
to not being able to hold any in-person events for over a year. So we quickly had to pivot and adapt and create virtual events and try to raise money however we could.
Right.
Uh, at the same time, everyone was working remote. You're so used to having everybody here together, working on all of these events and fundraising initiatives. And we really did have to adapt how we thought about reaching people and what content we wanted to provide to them that would be meaningful and still allow people to connect to the agency and our mission.
It's interesting. Many of our members have had the same experience with COVID pandemic. And what I've heard from everyone is the ability to adapt and innovate and change. And, a lot of folks are continuing, with their innovations post-pandemic because they find them to be good and useful. So, it's a learning process, and it's a hallmark of a successful company or business organization to be able to adapt and innovate. So you're still here, thriving, which is great. What are your plans for in-person or live events going forward?
So we actually held our first live in-person event last June when we held our golf outing.
Mhm.
So this year, all of our events are in person and back in their normal calendar month. So we have a bowling event coming up this spring, along with a poker event, an empowerment luncheon, and a golf outing. And that's only the first half of the year. So we are back at it.
Sounds like a busy calendar.
Yes, it always has been, but certainly this year, yes.
So May 22nd, Springfest, how are you going to use that, the event, to promote ACLD? What are your plans for Springfest?
So what we want to use Springfest for is to help recruit for staffing for all the different positions in the homes, in the programs, so that people have an opportunity to learn about us, ask some questions, really get a feel for what we can offer them. In addition, we're also looking for volunteers because now that we have returned to some normalcy, our volunteer opportunities are returning as well. So we're looking to recruit volunteers, and it could be something as simple as someone who owns a company locally and wants to do a day of service. And perhaps we can do some gardening project with the homes or here on our campus. So that's what we're really looking forward to doing at Springfest.
Well, I think in addition to Springfest, connecting with other chamber members and describing these kinds of opportunities will be a great window to the business community here, to partner up with you guys in various activities. So I think it's a good opportunity. It's a win-win for everybody.
Yes, absolutely. And let's not forget too, that one of the reasons why we joined the chamber a few years back was also to build relationships with the local businesses so that if they had an opportunity to employ our adults in our vocational program, that there was an opportunity for them to consider that. So there's definitely a lot of different ways that we can collaborate with chamber members.
Okay. And would you be the primary person to coordinate those kinds of efforts?
Yes, I can help with that. Yes.
All right, so you're the hub.
I am the hub. I am the catch-all.
So let's pivot a little bit, and I'll ask you a couple other kinds of questions. For you personally, who are your role models or mentors?
I've been very lucky through my career to really work with people who have a passion and a desire to do this work. I had someone who was very close to me who really showed me the ropes in this industry and really was a mentor to me in having approached this job as a passion, and that really this is a vocation. I think for people who stay in this field of developmental disabilities or the nonprofit arena, it's really because it gets in your blood. It's something that you don't easily walk away from. And I've been very blessed to have good people around me.
I think anyone that is truly successful, they have a passion for what they do. And, whether it's in healthcare or law or teaching, that's a critical component for success. What's one thing that most people don't know about you?
I started my career off as an education reporter in Georgia.
Ah, okay. What was the breaking news in Georgia in the educational news?
Not too much. It was very different, a very different vibe for a 21-year-old kid that, you know, moved from New York to a very small town in Georgia. So I quickly came back and landed in public relations and then landed at a really amazing job. I've been very blessed.
Oh, that's great. Here's another one for you. You're on a desert island and you can have one book, one food, and one activity. What's it going to be?
Ooh, that's a tough one. One book. I love to read, so it's like choosing between one of my children. I don't know that I could choose just one book. So maybe I'd try to cheat and say a Kindle, but then that would only get me so far.
Hey, listen, you're on a desert island. That Kindle will last only so long.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I can't come up with one of my favorites. It might.
How about a food and an activity?
My guilty pleasure. It's going to sound terrible. Entenmann donuts.
Chocolate or frosted?
Chocolate.
Okay. And how about an activity?
As long as I have a volleyball, I could enjoy my time on the beach.
Ah, there you go. You'll need to have at least one other person with you, right?
No, you'd be amazed. You could say and shake my or something like that.
All right. Well, there you go. Aimee, what is the one thing that you are most proud of, either personally or professionally?
I think the most proud personally is raising my family. I'm a mom to 4 kids. So life is very busy, and just so proud of the good human beings that they're turning out to be.
So Aimee, you seem to have a full-time job with ACLD, a full-time job as a mom. When do you have time to sleep?
A few hours in the overnight hours when my 4-year-old isn't waking me up.
There you go. Well, listen, Aimee, we're just about at the end of our time, and I wanted to thank you so much for spending this morning with us, getting to know a little more about ACLD and yourself. And the Chamber truly and really appreciates your sponsorship of SpringFest this year.
Thank you so much. It really was a pleasure.
All right. Thank you. You have a great day.
You too.